Applause is my second belt. I've already got this one. I'm the king of the world. You're looking at him. Look at him. Conor McGregor. A name that used to be super famous in the UFC. This crazy fighter who came out of the fighting ring with amazing wins over legendary fighters, now finds himself beaten by his own bad choices, washing away both his good name and all the attention he used to get. Day they arrested MMA fighter Conor McGregor. Here's CBS 4's Ty Russell. He doesn't have anything on him, right? From throwing a cart at a bus full of other fighters to punching an old man in a bar to facing terrible legal problems and lots of mean social media posts, McGregor has turned his own name into a messy disaster, creating his own downfall that has left the world shocked. So, what happened? And why has this UFC crazy man fallen so quickly? To find the answer, we might need to go back to the day McGregor first joined the UFC. A broke pipe fixer from Dublin, who seemed like he would never be famous. But in no time at all, he shot up to become known all around the world. With a weird mix of karate, taekwondo, boxing, and Brazilian jiu-jitsu, McGregor made a wild but deadly fighting style. His left leg kicked with the sharpness of a knife cutting through the air while his left fist hit like lightning, able to knock down anyone brave enough to stand in front of him. But McGregor's best weapon was never just his fighting moves. It was the hunter's mind entering the fighting ring not to compete, but to completely win. And the crowds went crazy. They didn't just love his skill. They were amazed by his boldness, wildness, and the cocky charm that came from him. Every time he came out, the seats exploded with chants of "Notorious" like a crazy celebration. From that moment, McGregor became a living symbol for those who dared to dream big and challenge the world. From working-class people in Ireland to Hollywood's rich and famous, everyone got caught up in the McGregor storm, making his fights break pay-per-view records. From 800,000 buys at UFC 189 to 1.2 million at UFC 194. McGregor didn't just sell tickets. He sold the dream that a kid from nothing could rise up to rule the world. The highest point of McGregor's career came in 2015 at UFC 194 when he fought Jose Aldo, the unbeaten featherweight champion for almost 10 years. This wasn't just a fight, it was making a point. For months, McGregor had constantly bothered Aldo, promising to knock him out in the first round. "I am his daddy." Applause. And just like he promised, when the starting bell rang, only 13 seconds later, McGregor's left fist sent Aldo to sleep. Las Vegas shook and the world saw the crowning of a new king. McGregor stood there, championship belt over his shoulder like an unbeatable warrior. Fans went wild. Headlines filled the news and experts praised him with compliments. But few realized that in the middle of this storm of excitement, the first small breaks in McGregor's kingdom were already starting to show. The breaks in McGregor's kingdom, once hidden by amazing glory, fully showed up on August 26, 2017 during the huge boxing match against Floyd Mayweather at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. It wasn't just a fight. It was like an earthquake in sports. A giant event that got 4.3 million pay-per-view buys, earning McGregor nearly $100 million in one night. Overnight, he changed from a UFC fighter into a worldwide superstar mentioned along with Ronaldo or Beyoncé. But the price of that spotlight was a tough reality McGregor couldn't get away from. Fighting McGregor that day was no ordinary fighter, but Floyd Mayweather, a boxing legend with a perfect 49-0 record. A defensive master who was never once knocked out. But McGregor carried his usual show-off attitude, walking around in fancy suits, flashing a smug smile, and letting loose lots of insults, calling Mayweather a runner, and promising to finish him in 3 rounds. He turned himself into Mystic Mac, the unbeatable fortune-teller, even in a sport where he was an outsider. And the audience, amazed by the show, believed it. They bet on McGregor. They expected a historic upset. They believed the Irish guy would break all the rules of boxing. You little slap here. Boom. Reality hit like a hard slap. In the first 3 rounds, McGregor came out blazing, landing left-hand punches that made the crowd go crazy, but it was a quick flash. While he burned energy on a flashy show, Mayweather simply stepped back, watched, and waited. By the 10th round, the moment of truth came. McGregor, tired out, was trapped, taking a bunch of counters from a true master. The referee stopped the fight and McGregor, the proud fortune-teller, fell, not by knockout, but by complete helplessness. It wasn't just a loss. It was a crushing blow to McGregor's huge ego. He had dared to step into the boxing world with unmatched show-off attitude and cockiness, and he had been beaten. But the deeper hurt was that this fight changed him forever. Despite the loss, the massive payday and the glare of superstar fame ate up the fire that once made him unstoppable. McGregor was no longer the struggling kid working hard in a tiny gym. He became a man living on multi-million-dollar boats, partying in Ibiza, wearing fancy suits, and toasting proper 12 whiskey for the cameras. His discipline, the backbone of his career, was now just pieces. With this change, the public began to see the wearing away. Fans who once praised him as a king now made fun of him coldly. Conor's just a rich guy now, not a fighter, or, he's only good at showing off money. World media called the Mayweather fight both the peak and the beginning of McGregor's decline. And they were right. Those small cracks that day were just a warning of the storm that would wash away a legend. The real final blow hit in October 2018 at UFC 229. McGregor stepped back into the fighting ring with his usual cockiness, loudly calling his opponent Khabib a coward and promising to crush him in just minutes. For months leading up to the fight, McGregor had sharpened his trash-talking tactics to a razor's edge, taking mean talk to new heights. He didn't just target Khabib, he went after his family, religion, and Dagestani homeland. McGregor believed his sharp tongue could break apart Khabib's mind, just like it had with Jose Aldo or Eddie Alvarez. But McGregor seemed to forget that Khabib was neither Aldo nor Alvarez. He was a disciplined machine, a warrior with a heart of steel and an unwavering will. The moment the bell rang, Khabib overwhelmed McGregor with non-stop grappling power. In the second round, a sudden punch from Khabib sent McGregor crashing to the floor, leaving the crowd stunned, unable to believe their eyes as the Notorious was completely dominated. By the fourth round, trapped in a choking hold, McGregor tapped out. That image, a man once thought to be unbeatable, now helplessly beaten by Khabib, marked the moment the world realized the McGregor legend had crumbled. Khabib didn't just beat McGregor, he exposed a fake image. He showed the lack of preparation, the wearing away of discipline, and the unchecked cockiness. This loss was a knife that tore through the shiny outside, showing a hollow McGregor like never before. The arena, once roaring with chants of Notorious, fell quiet, broken only by explosive cheers for Khabib. On social media, a wave of making fun flooded in. "McGregor's done," the cold comments read. Meanwhile, news outlets all called it the end of an era. But the greatest tragedy wasn't the defeat in the fighting ring. It was the truth that McGregor had brought this upon himself. His laziness and enjoyment of luxury had changed him from a warrior god into an ordinary man, easily crushed. If the losses to Mayweather and Khabib were sharp cracks in the fortress, McGregor's actions outside the fighting ring were the flames that burned his entire empire to the ground. The turning point came at UFC 223. In a blind rage over his fight with Khabib Nurmagomedov, McGregor led a group in an attack on a bus carrying UFC fighters at the Barclays Center in New York. In front of dozens of cameras, he grabbed a metal cart and threw it at the bus window. The glass broke into pieces flying everywhere, hurting two fighters, including Michael Chiesa, who had to pull out of his fight due to face cuts. The incident sent shock waves through the sport, making police get involved, and images of McGregor in handcuffs filled worldwide headlines. The Notorious icon, once lighting up arenas with roaring chants, had turned into a figure of chaos and shame. The public was stunned. Fans who once praised him as a king turned their backs. "This isn't the Conor we knew," one Irish fan complained on Reddit. "He's turned himself into a low-life thug." Even Dana White called it a terrible act and one of the most shameful moments in UFC history. McGregor claimed it was just mind games to hype the fight, but his excuses only made the anger worse. To the public, the sharp-witted trash-talking genius had become an out-of-control figure willing to destroy everything for his reckless ego. Some fans still defended him, arguing it was the Notorious boldness that built his legend. But most had turned away, and the hashtag McGregor is done began spreading across social media. A new prediction, not from Mystic Mac, but from the very public that once idolized him. But the cart-throwing incident wasn't the final blow. In August 2019, at the Marble Arch pub in Dublin, McGregor further destroyed his empire by punching a 50-year-old man in the face simply because the man refused to try proper 12, the whiskey brand McGregor saw as his pride and joy. The video of the incident spread like wildfire, burning up the bad boy image McGregor had carefully built. In the clip, he appeared mean, without the wit or charm that once made him an icon. The public no longer saw him as a masterful trash talker. Instead, they saw a bully picking on someone helpless. McGregor's hit rock bottom, fans said bitterly. From national hero, he's become an embarrassment to Ireland. From that point, McGregor's career fell down out of control. He lived recklessly, not caring about discipline and the law as scandals piled up. A 2018 lawsuit claiming assault at a Dublin hotel, a 2019 incident in Miami where he smashed a fan's phone, and a 2021 accusation of attacking a DJ in Italy. Though many cases didn't lead to criminal convictions, each headline further damaged McGregor's name. Throughout this downward spiral, McGregor tried to fight back, taking to social media to lash out at the media, claiming his innocence, and calling reporters rats. But instead of getting sympathy back, he only made the public's disappointment deeper. No longer was he praised as a legendary fighter. He was now labeled a professional lawsuit person, a name that meant trouble rather than winning. The fallout didn't just wear away his reputation. It dragged his business empire into the pit. Proper 12, the whiskey brand that once earned him hundreds of millions, was sold for $600 million in 2021. But after the deal, McGregor was pushed aside from promotional campaigns. A clear sign that even partners who once saw him as a money-making machine wanted no part of his scandal-stained name. Reebok, Bud Light and other major sponsors also pulled away, leaving McGregor's business empire in ruins. Once proud to be a global brand, a money-making machine, McGregor is now a castle of sand washed away by the tides of life, crumbled, fragile, and temporary. Conor McGregor stands as a living example of a timeless puzzle. To reach the top, you need talent, ambition, and fearless drive. But to stay there, you need more, discipline, character, and the ability to master yourself. McGregor didn't fall because he lacked skill or faced opponents too strong. What truly beat him was his own unchecked ego. The blind belief that fame, wealth, and the crowd's love would forever be on his side. But the harsh truth is that glory never hides mistakes. It only tricks people into a false sense of being unbeatable. And when the fall comes, the cost is way greater. McGregor's story isn't just for fighters. It's a mirror for us all. In any area, whether school, work, business, or everyday life, success is just a starting point, not the finish line. When success arrives, it's easy to slip into the whirlpool of laziness, indulgence, and illusions of power. We start to think the principles that lifted us up are no longer needed, that discipline can be replaced by show-off attitude, that character can be overshadowed by the shine of achievements. But the reality is the opposite. At the peak, you must be more careful than ever, for that's where the winds of failure blow strongest. McGregor was once Ireland's pride, only to become its embarrassment. He was a brand worth hundreds of millions, only to turn into a name that meant scandal and shame. This shows that success is not forever. It's fragile and temporary without a foundation of character and discipline. A single fall doesn't just strip away glory. It erases trust, respect, and even a person's true worth. The greatest lesson here is this: don't let your ego become your enemy. The higher the success, the greater the temptations. And only humility, self-control, and discipline can keep you from losing yourself. A victory isn't measured by the money earned or the cheers received, but by your ability to hold tight to your principles, stay grounded, and keep your integrity through challenges. Conor McGregor may have lost his shine, but his story echoes as a warning. Always beware of yourself. The greatest enemy of a champion or of any person is never the opponent out there, but the ego within.